Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is Brave Storytime. My name is Lisa Karasek. I am the moderator for Brave Storytime through Brave Healer Productions. And today I am with Laurie Morin, author. She's one of Brave Healer's authors. And today, Laurie, you're going to be reading your book from, and this is fabulous. You're going to be reading from On Purpose Woman, the complete holistic guide for spiritual entrepreneurs. And your chapter is chapter 11. And your chapter is called Your Origin Story, How to Bring Your Whole Authentic Self to Your Business. I'm really looking forward to this one. This is going to be good stuff. I can't wait. So, do you have any comments?
No, just thank you for that introduction. And I think it's interesting that it's called Brave Healer Story Hour because it does take a lot of courage to get on here and tell your story. And
Yeah.
I'm sure for all the listeners, if you've ever been on Facebook Live, you know what it's like.
Yeah. And we were just talking about that before we hit record. Yeah. So, Laurie, I have a couple questions for you before we get started. How did you come to be in the On Purpose Woman book?
So I've been a member of On Purpose Woman for several years. I started when I lived back in Maryland. And it is by far the best group that I've ever belonged to in terms of being with supportive women who do everything they can to help one another. It's not competitive. Everybody's compassionate and spiritual. So when Jenny said she was doing a book, it was kind of a no-brainer for me. I had to be in it.
Yeah, perfect. I love that. Jenny is so easy to, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Um, why did you want to write the chapter that you did?
Well, I'm at a stage in my life where I kind of write whatever as the top of my mind. And I had just gone through kind of a major transition and had come to a realization. And I said, why not share that? Because I know I'm not the only woman who's gone through this, especially with the pandemic and with aging parents.
Okay, so a little clue into what's okay. Okay. And then, so given that little bit of information, that little nugget you just gave us, then how did it feel writing the chapter?
It honestly felt very cathartic because I have always been the kind of person who figures out what I think by writing it down. I've always journaled and, you know, I need to write to actually hear myself think, if that makes any sense. So it was a pretty new and raw experience. Um, and I didn't, believe me, it didn't go right from me to the page of the book. It went from me to journaling about it, to doing some meditation about it, and then writing the chapter. So the whole process was pretty cathartic.
I love that. Good for you. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, Laurie, are you ready to read your chapter?
I am ready.
Okay, please.
Okay. So it starts like this. Don't let anyone tell you that starting a spiritual business is a straight road. Finding your mission for becoming an entrepreneur is more like a winding country path with lots of detours and distracting scenery. But if you stay open and flexible, you'll end up with something greater than a business. You'll discover the joy in the journey and learn to flow with the current of the universe. This will lead you to your soul's purpose and the legacy you want to create with your services. That's what happened to me when my business plans took an unexpected detour after retiring from my career at the end of 2019. So this is my story. I thought I had my transition from law professor to transformational coach all figured out. For 5 years, I trained in all aspects of starting a coaching business. I had my certifications in hand, along with an inspired business plan. When I retired, I planned to take a gap year, traveling around the world to scope out sacred and culturally rich venues. Then I'd launch my business by leading retreats to help women tap into their divine feminine power. I thought this was the perfect business for me, combining my love for travel with my commitment to women's empowerment. But the universe had other ideas. Maybe you remember the early days of 2020 as the calm before the storm. For me, it started with a phone call from my nephew, who was living with my 89-year-old mother in Massachusetts. Grandma says she's too dizzy to get out of bed, he said with a catch in his throat. I could feel his tears dripping through the phone. I don't know what to do. She can't even get to the bathroom. Let me talk to her, I replied. Mom, what's going on? I asked. Laurie, I'm so dizzy. I'm afraid to stand up because I might fall over, she whimpered. I knew that voice. It was the same one she used when my father passed out on the living room floor and she was paralyzed with fear. I had to call 911 and calm her down so she didn't have a heart attack before they got there. Okay, I'll call somebody to come over and help you to the bathroom and then jump in the car and head up there. Why don't you have Nina take you to the ER? I'll meet you there. I threw some clothes in a suitcase, said goodbye to my partner and dogs, and jumped in the car. It was 750 miles from our new home in North Carolina to the childhood home I grew up in, and I was determined to get there by the next day. You can imagine the thoughts swirling in my head. I wonder if she had a stroke. Did her AFib finally get her? Or maybe it's her lungs. The doctor said the COPD would get progressively worse. Will she make it until I get there? Is this the beginning of the end? On the road, I called my 2 younger brothers. They lived closer than I did, but it was still a hike for them to get there. My sister-in-law offered to make the 2-hour trip to be there when my mother got to the ER. By the time I got there the next morning, my mother had been admitted to the hospital and had every test under the sun. All came back negative. Her heart and lungs were okay. They had no idea what was causing her vertigo. The doctors were ready to discharge her, but she didn't feel steady enough to go home. I tried to negotiate for a bed in rehab, but Medicare wouldn't pay because it wasn't medically necessary. When I told my mother the news, she was so distraught that I asked if she wanted to private pay. She had a bit of money from my father's life insurance, but I never thought she would say yes. Mom was the frugal one in the family, so when she agreed, I knew how scared she must be. We found her a bed in a private nursing home nearby, where she received daily rehab and lots of attention from the staff. I visited every day, and my nephew got a much-needed break to visit his family in Vermont. In the meantime, my business plans were on hold. I couldn't plan a retreat because I wasn't sure when I could leave Massachusetts. Then the other shoe dropped. Slowly, the news dribbled out about this dangerous new virus that was lethal for the elderly and those with weakened immune systems. The nursing home started enforcing a mask policy and was on the verge of restricting all visitors. Just in time, I decided to have my mother discharged a week early against medical advice. The day I arrived to pick her up, a big yellow sign on the front sidewalk said in bold red letters, "Danger, do not enter." The front door was locked, and they were reluctant to let me in when I rang the bell. I told them I was there to pick up a discharged patient, so they let me wait in the entrance hallway while somebody got Mom and wheeled her out to the door. Fortunately, she'd regained some of her balance and could get herself from the wheelchair onto the front seat of the car. She was sorry to leave the security of the nursing home, but glad to be going home. I missed my house, she said. All my memories and treasures are in that house. Please don't ever make me go to a nursing home. Shoot, I thought. She seemed so comfortable at Governor's Center. I was hoping she would be willing to consider assisted living. I don't know how we're going to keep this arrangement going. It's too much for my nephew to manage on his own, and we don't have the money to hire live-in help. I know, Mom, I replied. I will do my best to keep you at home, but you have to let me get you some more help. Is that a deal? We had tried to get help with cooking and cleaning in the past, but she had always resisted. I can take care of my own house. I don't want anyone coming into here in my space and telling me how to do things, she'd protest. This time she knew I had bargaining power, so she agreed to let me bring in an aide 3 days a week to help with light housekeeping, meals, and companionship, and to give my nephew a break. The next 2 years were a roller coaster of declining health, ER visits, and trips back and forth to Massachusetts. Sometimes I wouldn't even make it home before I got a call that Mom was in the ER again. We kept adding services, an adult daycare program for socialization, visiting angels for transportation, more healthcare aides to administer medicine and help with daily activities, and finally, a live-in companion to keep her company during sleepless nights. When she got COVID at her daycare program, her decline accelerated. She started having hallucinations and panic attacks. When I wasn't there, she called me in the middle of the night, terrified that kids on bikes were on her roof trying to break into her house. She called the police so many times that they refused to come to her house. My partner and I started looking for a temporary place to bring our dogs so we could bring more time in Massachusetts. But before that happened, Mom passed peacefully in her sleep. I was grateful to be there and to see her long struggle come to an end. In the meantime, between road trips, I tried everything I could think of to get my coaching business going. Planning events around my mother's caretaking was challenging, and international travel was pretty much shut down. I must admit, sometimes I gave in to the pity party in my head. Why is this happening to me? This is so unfair. This was supposed to be my time to travel and to do the things that bring me joy after a lifetime of putting others first. I knew there had to be a lesson in the challenges I was encountering. I took up gardening, built a patio, and enjoyed afternoon drives to the beach to let the ideas germinate. But my heart longed for something more fulfilling. I knew so many women who were suffering, and I wanted to find a way to help. I was resistant to the idea of taking my services online because I love the deep connections and transformation you can create at live events. My business was pretty much at a standstill when I got a nudge from the universe. Remember that book you started 3 years ago at the Tom Bird retreat? Why didn't you dust that off the shelf and finish writing it? Your experience recovering from a lifetime of people pleasing could help a lot of women who are juggling the demands of work and family in these challenging times. Little did I know that was the beginning of the evolution of my business. I finished my book, Shero's Journey, and planned a retreat in Vermont to share the life lessons I learned with other women. To my surprise, nearly everyone who came to the retreat confessed that they had always wanted to write their life story. My book helped them see how that might be possible. I heard the same thing from a group of women who agreed to be my beta readers. Many people on my mailing list wrote to me, telling how much the book changed the way they looked at their childhood experiences. All this feedback got me thinking, I bet I could help women who want to write their life stories. I learned to write mine the hard way. with lots of trial and error. I ended the retreat with Tom Bird with thousands of written words, but no idea how to organize them into a book. It was only when I discovered the Shero's Journey framework that I figured out how the pieces all fit together. I could help other women do that and finally write the book that is living inside of them. So my new business model was born. I now lead programs to help women bring their wisdom and experience to life in written words. In the process of writing, we discover our inner truths and heal old wounds. We write for our transformation, but also to uplift and inspire other women on their life journeys. So what does all this have to do with your spiritual business? I believe that starting a business, like writing a book, is a transformational process. You start with an idea, an inspiration, a nudge to your heart, but you can't know exactly where you are going to end up. It's tempting to stick with your original plan, especially if you've poured lots of time and energy into it. But it's so much more rewarding to stay open to the gentle nudges from spirit that may lead you in a different direction. We have all heard how important it is to let our prospective clients get to know, like, and trust us. That means your business origin story doesn't have to be a perfectly straight line from start to finish. It can be a meandering path that shows your humanity and vulnerability. That kind of story will attract exactly the right people who will be happy to pay you for your services without any high-pressure sales tactics. Wouldn't that be a relief? In the next section, I'll lead you through the process of writing a business origin story that you can use in the About Me section of your website, your full-length bio, or in the introduction to a book showcasing your expertise and services. So here's the tool that I have to share. Perhaps you've heard of the hero's journey. It's a term popularized by cultural anthropologist Joseph Campbell in his book Hero with a Thousand Faces, based on mythology and folk tales from around the world. The hero's journey framework has been used in popular books and movies, from Star Wars to Harry Potter to Indiana Jones. Campbell's student, Maureen Murdoch, added a twist to the concept in her book, Heroine's Journey. She writes about the need to balance traditionally masculine values, like power and worldly success, with feminine values, like love and compassion. You can see glimpses of how those themes play out in the latest Wonder Woman movie. At the end of the movie, Diana realizes that war will never stamp out all evil. She vows that in the future, she'll try to change the world with love instead. When I was trying to organize my disjointed story fragments and ideas from the retreat into my first book, I figured, why reinvent the wheel? So I combined elements of the hero's and heroine's journey to come up with my own framework, which I call Shero's Journey. I'm going to teach you a simplified version here to write your own business origin story in a way that will capture clients' attention and draw them into your world. My advice is to answer these writing prompts as if you were talking to a friend about the joys and challenges of starting your business. The common wisdom is that our prospective clients are just a few steps behind us on the same path that we have followed. If you're open and vulnerable, they'll be grateful to learn from your experience. Now, here are the steps in the Shero's journey. The call. Where were you in your life when you made the leap to start your own business? Perhaps you were unhappy and looking for more fulfilling work, or you lost your job to downsizing during the pandemic. Were you on a quest for money and power, or were you craving more work-life balance and fulfillment? Let your clients see that you face some of the same struggles they are dealing with in their lives. The journey. Here is where you describe all the twists and turns and synchronicities that led your business to where it is today. Did you meet mentors and guides who helped clarify your vision? Did the universe put opportunities in your path that led to a bigger vision? This is an opportunity to let people see that you are doing exactly what you are meant to do to serve their needs. The challenges. What obstacles did you encounter on your path, and how did you overcome them? Your clients aren't looking for perfection. They want to be inspired by your ability to overcome challenges to get where you are today. The rewards. This is all about your personal definition of success. Have you achieved financial success and recognition? Are you happier with your life and more fulfilled? Let your clients know what you value most in life and how your services can help them live in alignment. The lessons. Don't preach, lead by example. Show your clients how much you've learned from experience and how you can help them avoid some of the mistakes you made along the way. You know how your math teacher used to say, show me your work? It's the same with your business. Don't just tell me your expertise, show me how you got there. Make me believe that it's possible for me too, and I will be your most loyal fan. The end.
Thank you. That was wonderful. I can't wait to try those exercises.
Well, I have a little handout that I'd be happy to send you if you give me your email address.
Oh, is that offer for everyone?
That is for everyone.
Okay, so you heard it here directly from Laurie. Um, so in the YouTube notes, we will have
Yes.
your contact information. So
Okay.
listeners, audience, when you're ready, go ahead and jump down to the notes and get in connect with Laurie, and she'll get that to you. Thank you, Laurie. That's fabulous. So you jumped ahead. I was going to ask you that last. So it's all
Sorry, I
good.
have a bad
No?
habit of doing
Oh,
that.
no, please don't even worry about that. It's okay. It just threw me off. I had to, my brain had to. Um, so you just now read your story out loud, you and your mom, everything you went through, your transition, the pandemic, everything, how hard that must have been. I really felt you there. So,
Thank
well
you.
done. Good for you for getting through that. How did it feel just now to read it out loud?
I haven't, it felt pretty good. This happened, she passed in 21, toward the end of 21. So it's not quite as raw as it was. But her birthday is coming up on April 10th. And I always think about her a lot at this time of the year because it was a special time that we spent together. So I kind of felt reading this like, Mom, this is kind of a tribute to you. So felt pretty good.
I love that. What a way to turn that around. Beautiful.
Thank you.
I will think of your mom on the 10th.
Thank you.
All righty. So we jumped ahead to your offering, but is there any last thing that you would like to share with everyone now who's listening? Any last final words, either about your story or the tool that you shared or anything about life in general?
um, I would just say, don't be afraid to be vulnerable. I spent so many years of my life. I was a law professor, and I had to pretend to be always in control and always knowing exactly what I was doing. And it is so liberating to be able to say, this is me. This is where I am today. It's a process. I'm not perfect. Um, the journey doesn't end, you know? So I like to tell people, don't write those boring bios with just all your credentials listed. I've been there, I've done that. All the articles you've written on, that is not what people want to know about you. They want to know who you are as a person.
I agree. I love that. Thank you. Great, great, great advice. Do you feel complete?
I feel complete. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, so make sure that you connect with Laurie and get that. Did you say it was a PDF or did you say it was?
It's a PDF.
It's a PDF. Make sure you connect with Laurie and get that PDF and connect with her in general. You have a business, you do all kinds of things. So yeah, get to know Laurie. She's pretty awesome. Laurie and I talk all the time. We've become good friends. So yeah, she's fabulous. With that
And
said,
I would say the same about Lisa, but I assume you all already know Lisa and how great she is.
thank you. So thank you once again for joining us for Brave Storytime. We look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.
Bye.